In recent times, shocking details have been revealed about Epstein's activities on his private island. News of his illegal activities and dealings with underage girls have been public for years, but the true extent of his activities is only now just coming to light. In this video, I will be pulling back the curtains on the shocking details of Epstein's activities on Little St. James. Shocking video of Epstein's Island. The recently released Epstein files have brought new, disturbing evidence to light. Among the documents are photos that appear to show underage girls on Epstein's private island. These images are important as they provide visual evidence of the alleged crimes that took place on Little St. James. The photos also feature Epstein's accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell on the island back in 2006, contradicting her testimony that she was not present at that time. In a shocking turn of events, the judge overseeing the case ordered these photos to be removed from the file, stating that they were included by mistake. This decision has sparked outrage and speculation, as many believe the images are crucial evidence in understanding the full extent of Epstein's crimes, the most heinous of which are said to have taken place on Epstein Island. In 1987, Little St. James, a small private island in the United States Virgin Islands, was owned by venture capitalist Arch Cummin. The island, a hidden gem southeast of St. Thomas, was up for sale for $10.5 million. About a year later, in April 1988, a company named LSJ LLC purchased the island for $7.95 million. Documents later revealed that Jeffrey Epstein was the sole member of LSJ, making him the new owner of Little St. James. Epstein wasted no time in transforming the island into his personal paradise. He referred to it as Little St. Jeff and made it his primary residence. The main house on the island underwent extensive renovations by Edward Tuttle, a renowned designer of the Ammon resorts. Tuttle's touch brought a luxurious and mysterious feel to the estate, making it the perfect hideaway for Epstein's activities. Epstein's estate on Little St. James continued to develop so much that by 2008, the island boasted a staff of 70 people. According to a former staffer, Epstein demanded absolute discretion and confidentiality from his employees, creating an air of secrecy around the island. The staff was instructed to avoid discussing Epstein's activities and to maintain a low profile. Epstein's influence extended beyond the island itself. He had stakes in various businesses in the US Virgin Islands, including Hyperion Air. This allowed him to maintain a low profile while conducting his illicit activities. Court documents revealed that Epstein frequently flew into St. Thomas's only airport, Cyril E. King Airport. The US Virgin Islands Attorney General, Denise George, stated that the private jets used by Epstein flew in a separate area from commercial flights, making it easy for him to hide operations. Jeffrey Epstein's reputation among the locals of the US Virgin Islands was far from stellar. Despite his attempts to buy goodwill through acts like donating money to government officials and providing dozens of computers to local schools, his image remained tarnished. Denise George stated in 2020 that Epstein was not regarded as an upstanding member of the community. His status as a registered sex offender was public knowledge, and his alleged crimes were an open secret among the locals. Residents of St. Thomas, located just 2 miles off the coast of Little St. James, were well aware of Epstein's activities. CBS News' Mola Lenghi spoke with locals who described the island as Pedophile Island. The stories they shared painted a grim picture of Epstein's operations. According to witness accounts, young girls were often seen arriving on the island, only to disappear behind the walls of Epstein's luxurious estate. Epstein's method of transporting young girls to the island was carefully planned to avoid detection. He relied on his private jets and boats, ensuring that the girls were brought to the island discreetly. Witnesses, including air traffic controllers and other airport personnel, reported seeing Epstein accompanied by girls who appeared to be preteens. These sightings were not isolated incidents, but part of a disturbing pattern. A harbor employee told CBS News that a boat with the letters LSJ was used to ferry workers and supplies to and from Epstein's Island. This boat was also allegedly used to transport young girls to the island, further implicating Epstein in his heinous crimes. The methods Epstein used to transport these girls were designed to maintain a low profile, but it wasn't until much later that the evil acts he carried out on the island would come to light. Authorities attempting to investigate Epstein's activities on the island faced serious challenges. When Epstein was alive, law enforcement officials were often stopped at the dock and told they could not enter the private property. Denise George pointed out the difficulty of escaping from the island, stating, "Remember, he owns a whole island, so it wasn't a situation where a child or a young woman would be able to just break away and run down the street to the nearest police station." One of the most horrifying accounts comes from a 15-year-old alleged victim who was so desperate to escape that she tried to swim away from the island. Another victim victim described how she was trapped in Epstein's bedroom on the island with a gun strapped to his bedpost, making it clear that escape was not an option. Although some of the people who have spoken up about Epstein's abuse have remained anonymous, others like Virginia Giuffre have gone all out to speak their truth. Virginia Giuffre, born Virginia Roberts, was forced to endure a childhood filled with hardship and abuse. At the age of 14, things had gotten so bad that she found herself living on the streets. 3 years later, Virginia had turned 16 and was in the process of turning her life around. She had secured a job as locker room attendant at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach. It was while working this job that she met Ghislaine Maxwell, who offered her a chance to train as a massage therapist. When Virginia arrived at Jeffrey Epstein's home in Palm Beach for what she believed was a job interview, she was met with a scene that would forever alter the course of her life. Epstein was lying naked, and Maxwell instructed her on how to massage him. During this encounter, Epstein and Maxwell asked Virginia about her life. Trusting them, she revealed her troubled past, including her experiences of sexual and physical abuse. She didn't know that this encounter marked the beginning of yet another terrifying period in life. Virginia Giuffre's experiences with Jeffrey Epstein were nothing short of a nightmare. From the moment she stepped into Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, she was thrown into a cycle of abuse and manipulation. The initial massage sessions quickly escalated into sexual encounters, with Epstein taking control of nearly every aspect of Virginia's life. He manipulated her with promises of financial support and a better future, all the while subjecting her to repeated sexual abuse. Virginia's life took a darker turn as she became more and more involved with Epstein. She was not just abused by Epstein, but was also passed around like a platter of fruit among his powerful associates. One of the most high-profile individuals Virginia was introduced to was Prince Andrew. According to Virginia, her introduction to Prince Andrew took place in 2001 when she was just 17 years old. Jeffrey Epstein brought her to London, where she was introduced to the prince at Ghislaine Maxwell's townhouse. This meeting would later become infamous, largely due to a photograph taken that night, which shows Prince Andrew with his arm around Virginia's waist, while Maxwell smiles in the background. Virginia's account of the events that followed is both chilling and detailed. After the initial introduction, the group went out to a nightclub. After the night out, they returned to Maxwell's home, where Virginia alleges that Maxwell instructed her to do for Andrew what I do for Jeffrey. This instruction was a clear indication of the sexual abuse that was to follow. Unfortunately for Virginia, that night would turn out to be the first of many when she would be forced to engage in intimate acts with the prince. According to her, he took advantage of her once at Maxwell's London home and later at Epstein's homes in Manhattan and Little St. James in the Virgin Islands. She describes the encounters in vivid detail, recounting how she felt terrified and powerless. Prince Andrew has consistently denied these allegations. In a 2019 interview with BBC Newsnight, he claimed to have no recollection of ever meeting Virginia Giuffre. He also provided an alibi for the night in question, stating that he was at a Pizza Express restaurant with his daughter. In addition to that, he clearly stated that Virginia's account of their encounters didn't happen. One of the most controversial aspects of Prince Andrew's defense was his claim that he could not have been sweating profusely, as Virginia described, because he had a medical condition that prevented him from sweating. The legal developments that followed Virginia's allegations have been complex and high-profile. In 2021, Virginia filed a civil lawsuit against Prince Andrew in the United States, accusing him of sexual abuse. The lawsuit alleged that Prince Andrew had caused her emotional distress. The legal battle that followed was closely watched by the media and the public, as it involved a member of the British royal family and allegations of serious criminal conduct. Prince Andrew's legal team made several attempts to have the case dismissed. They argued that Virginia's lawsuit was invalid due to a previous settlement agreement she had reached with Epstein in 2009, which included a clause meant to protect other individuals from legal action. However, a judge ruled that the case could proceed, setting the stage for a potential trial. On February 15, 2022, it was announced in a joint statement that both parties had reached an out-of-court settlement. The legal battle between Virginia and the British royal was widely publicized, and his presence on Epstein Island drew significant attention. But according to new information obtained from recently unsealed court documents, Prince Andrew wasn't the only influential figure to visit the island. Famous visitors. The unsealing of Jeffrey Epstein's files in January 2024 has brought to light some of the most shocking and controversial details about the association between former US President Bill Clinton and the notorious sex offender. Among the revelations are Clinton's alleged flights on Epstein's private plane and his reported presence on Epstein Island, as mentioned by witnesses and in-court documents. Bill Clinton's association with Jeffrey Epstein dates back to the early 200s. Clinton allegedly flew on Epstein's private plane, a Boeing 707, 2007 to various international destinations. Personal flight logs kept by one of Epstein's pilots revealed that Clinton and his entourage traveled extensively on Epstein's jumbo jet to places like Paris, Bangkok, and Brunei in 2002 and 2003. These logs show that Clinton was a frequent flyer on Epstein's plane, raising questions about the nature of their relationship. One of the most shocking revelations comes from Virginia Giuffre, whose statements have been recorded in court files. In her 2016 deposition, Giuffre claimed to have seen Bill Clinton on Epstein Island not once, but twice. She recounted meeting Clinton on Little St. James. Giuffre described attending a dinner with Clinton and two young, beautiful girls, typical of the company Epstein kept around him. She emphasized that Clinton was never sexually involved with her or anyone else she witnessed, but the mere presence of a former US president on such a notorious island is enough to raise eyebrows. Giuffre's testimony is corroborated by Johanna Sjoberg, another Epstein accuser, who provided damning testimony in her 2016 deposition. Sjoberg recounted Epstein saying that Clinton likes them young while referring to young girls. This statement, coupled with the flight logs and Giuffre's testimony, paints a disturbing picture of Clinton's association with Epstein. The unsealed documents from January 2024 included almost 200 names, ranging from Epstein's accusers to influential personalities in business and politics. Clinton's name emerged prominently, mentioned as John Doe 36 more than 50 times in the redacted documents. Despite these mentions, Clinton has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing. His spokesperson emphasized that it has been nearly 2 decades since the former US president had any contact with Epstein, and that he has not been accused of any criminal activity related to Epstein. The court documents also revealed several depositions from Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime companion, who is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for aiding Epstein's sex trafficking of young women and girls. Maxwell denied that Clinton was ever on Epstein's Island. Giuffre's efforts to depose Clinton to ask him whether he had been on the island were rejected by a judge in June 2016. In a January 2016 email to Maxwell, Epstein encouraged her to focus her efforts on discrediting Giuffre's version of the Clinton story, which he claimed could be easily disproved. This email suggests that Epstein and Maxwell were actively trying to protect Clinton's reputation in the middle of the growing scandal. Despite the lack of concrete evidence placing Clinton on Epstein's Island, the alarming volume of mentions and testimonies raises questions about the nature of his relationship with Epstein. Another influential